Warning: the following audio drama contains adult themes and scenes of intense violence. Listener discretion is advised. Previously.
Don't let them touch you! They're devilry!
Rachel, they will be here any moment.
Mother?
No. I must stay.
This knowledge cannot be fully understood without the proper foundations. It will do you no good.
Now you get what all witches deserve. At even this very moment, your kind makes prayer to your heathen devils.
You mistake their appearance. Your buildings crumble and fall with age, while the force of life forever rises up, eternal. That is God. And that is what these people blend with.
Blend? Even your words condemn you, witch. You either fall under God's grace, or you don't.
Aaron! No!
No. It is written in some language we cannot read.
I will go back there, find somebody who can read this and return them here.
How can you be sure anybody is left?
Oh, there aren't, thanks to the support you provided. But there might be others who come looking.
Bring them to me in Avignon. They only need be kept breathing until they arrive.
Eye of the Beholders. Episode 6, Echoes of the Storm. The monastery's infirmary was made of small cubicles, half walls constructed from stone. In one of these tiny compartments, Aaron lied on a pallet bed. He was, at last, semi-conscious. A Dominican friar peeked in from the doorway curtain, having heard him. He motioned to another, and the pair rushed in. Friar James gently looked Aaron over, then motioned to his partner. The partner stepped out, then quickly returned with a cup. James took it, then assisted with propping Aaron up for the drink.
Easy. Here.
Aaron took only a sip, then fell back asleep. The friars gently lowered him back to the bed. Hours later, Aaron came to again. With half-open eyes, he attempted to sit up. The shearing pain at the back of his neck stopped him. Friar peered in from the entry curtain. Startled, he motioned to another, hidden just beyond him. Within seconds, Friar James returned and assisted Aaron to find equilibrium.
You have to move slowly. Relax and breathe.
He motioned to his partner, who again came back with a cup. James helped Aaron to drink from it.
Where am I?
You are in the infirmary of Saint Dominique in Santa Pau, where you've been since one of our brothers brought you and your companion 4 days ago.
4 days?
By God's grace, yes. Found on the side of the road with your companion. She was quite concerned, and rightly so.
A searing volley of pain coursed through Aaron's head. He squinted and instinctively reached for the back of his neck. James stopped him.
You took quite a fall. Had to call in the local barber surgeon to clean and sew you up back there. It's what's kept you out all these days. Seems the swelling has gone down, so that now you can see and speak again.
Where's my companion?
Remembering something, James had the partner keep Aaron upright while he quickly left, then returned, carrying a piece of parchment.
She stayed for a day, but insisted urgent matters forced her leave. I think she saw the good Lord's work coming through, for she didn't ask to remit you with her custody. A very peculiar lady, I must say. She asked that I give you this when you awoke.
Aaron glanced over the parchment. It was a note, written in the same mysterious language as the Muein texts.
What odd gibberish that looks to me. My apologies. What language is it, if you don't mind me asking?
Home.
Where's that?
Aaron slowly fell back. James helped him to recline, taking Aaron's hand, and made sure the back of his head remained protected. Aaron held the parchment to his chest.
Yes, you must need more rest. You can take your time here.
Aaron tightened the grip on James's hand.
Thank you.
Praise be to God for your deliverance.
Aaron closed his eyes and faded into sleep. James stood, looking compassionately at him, then slowly stepped out. Meanwhile, Samantha galloped between the trees of a dense forest at top speed. Just like Renier and his garrison, as they hurried along a forest roadway on return to the Alps, where Wimarc had finally found his way, thanks to his link with Thea's mind as she guided him. She led him around the valley at the base of the Muein peaks, ending on the eastern slope. Wimarc left off his horse and rushed to where the burnt bodies had crumpled upon the pyres. He waved carrion away, already plucking at the corpses. The devastation was so stunning, he couldn't weep. He looked over every member, collapsing to his knees when discovering his beloved wife. Wimarc felt waves of agony pierce the armor of his consciousness. Golda's burnt body on the stake before him was far more than he could ever handle. Though the Muein knew life was everlasting, it never diminished the grief at the loss of a loved one, especially passing in a way such as this.
My beloved, I am all right.
He looked about, captured by Golda's voice. He suddenly saw her standing with Master Ishrak at the base of a hill, smiling. She turned away, as if beckoning him to follow. Wimarc chased. When he reached the hilltop, she and Master Ishrak had vanished. Nevertheless, he could feel deep within his nervous system that her spirit was subtly blending with him, thereby leading him in a somewhat subconscious manner. He passed desecrated Muein bodies, coursing along until at last finding the entrance to the eastern passage. Without torchlight, he had to rely upon his heightened senses and inner intuition to navigate the tunnels. Most friars prayed 8 times a day, not counting personal devotions. These prayers were central to the monastic lifestyle, reflecting one's commitment to spiritual discipline and separation from worldly concerns. Friar James took this responsibility seriously. He inwardly desired an absolute union with the divine, to touch what he knew was far more than what most people considered when it came to the nature of God and life. On one hand, he overly esteemed the Bible and its Gospels. On the other, he felt God's hand and the nature of supernatural miracle working were just as significant and possible today as it had been 1,300 years ago. It's just that most people place their focus so much on the Bible as past history that they missed it. He hoped that through his sense of openness and reflecting the kindness and compassion of Jesus, he may be privy to experience such miracles in the modern day. After the midday service, he walked with a trio of other friars outside in the main courtyard. His brothers were vexed after hearing a disturbing story about a young priest in Avignon, a story that was becoming all too common.
God tests us all, brothers. Perhaps those of us who desire to save souls he tests the most.
I most politely disagree. Such rumors only push people away and does not invite them to communion with the Savior in our brotherhood. Rather, I fear the unfortunate possibility the younger monks are being targeted.
By very strong witchery, if the rumors are to be believed.
Pray he does not ask us to Avignon.
The group nodded together in affirmation. They then bowed to each other and parted to go their separate ways. James proceeded across the hallowed grounds to the infirmary. He acknowledged his fellow working brethren as he passed through the main foyer, where a central hearth kept the place cozy warm. With the usual calmness in his step, he moved between the half walls of secluded compartments, stopping at Aaron's cell. He pulled the curtain to see Aaron sitting in meditation position on the bed, wiping away tears. Aaron opened his eyes, then dried the streams burning his cheeks. Cupping the back of his head, he slowly placed his feet on the floor and stood to meet James.
Oh, you are able to rise again, as the Lord himself had done.
Yes. Thank you.
Let me have a look at this. Such fall from a horse has been known to kill a man, but thankfully, Providence favors you. Yes, looking much better. How are the headaches?
They too shall pass.
James smiled.
Yes. Yes, they will. Would you like some air and some water?
Aaron nodded gratefully, then placed a hand on the back of his neck from a sting of the wound. James put a comforting hand on his back and led him from the compartment.
We will tread lightly to keep you balanced. Your companion said your name was Aaron. I am Friar James.
James led him outside into the expanse of the main courtyard. The air was perfect, not too warm and with a slight fragrance of flowers blooming. Aaron closed his eyes to absorb it all, the ineffable quality of life's radiance. A fellow monk handed James a cup of water, to which he then handed to Aaron when he opened his eyes.
Here you go.
Aaron slowly drank, then scanned the grounds, seeing a small herb garden connected to the infirmary, along with other monks wandering to and fro.
What do you do here?
Prayer, devotion to God. A brotherhood to deliver His word wherever we can to save others.
Aaron's memory suddenly fractured, remembering Elohim's torture. James noticed the shift in his countenance, affected by the recall.
It is out of His love for us that we are here. Come. We often travel from town to town, preaching the truth of the gospel, with only the dust on our feet and cloaks on our backs. The church may survive on tithes, perhaps even selling some indulgences. But for us, only what God gives. What about you? What did you do before you fell onto the road out there?
In my own way, hoping to protect souls.
When he had made it into the main courtyard, Wimarc stood in awe at the destruction of the Muein grounds and temples, and the corpses left behind. Renier and his crew had burned everything and left bodies where they fell. Wimarc closed his eyes and tried his best to clear his mind and body, to make that link again with the spirit of his beloved Golda.
Please. Are you there?
We have all survived. Conditions do not allow us to reveal much.
Why?
Samantha is returning. To you.
Why can you not tell me things?
We cannot enter such darkness. It evades us.
There has to be a way.
It is on your side of the veil, and not ours.
All of a sudden, Wimarc opened his eyes as if the transmission had been cut. He tried making the link again, but it didn't work.
Samantha.
He raced into the tunnels, coming out to an aperture looking over the mountainside. He was hoping to see his daughter ascending to meet him, but alas, all that laid before him was the barren hillsides of snow. He turned back in. It took a few hours, but Wimarc would not let his brethren's bodies be abandoned in the cold of the ruined temples and outer pavilions. He managed to gather them all together, piling them into a heap in the main courtyard, then committed them to the flames of eternity. He then retreated into one of the underground caverns, seating himself in meditation and dissolving his awareness into the sanctuary, his inner spirit. Aaron opened his eyes and gently twisted his still tender head. His meditation had been another failure. He was trying to make a mental link with Samantha, but unfortunately, the continued throbbing of his injury kept him from maintaining the correct focus and manipulation of internal magnetism to make it happen. After a brief pause, he collected himself and insisted on doing what must be done. He stood, then grabbed his knapsack left against a wall. He squinted from momentary pain as he draped it over his head onto his shoulders.
Oh.
As he strode from his cubicle, a trio of monks stopped working, surprised to see him up and about. One of them rushed to intercept.
Good shot.
Please give my thanks to Friar James, but it is time for me to rejoin my companion.
With that, he left the monk dumbfounded as he stepped outside. Aaron made sure his steps were casual, though inwardly he was screaming to break free of the monastery's grounds. He slowly circled, looking to find the clearest route to escape. He noticed Friar James standing with two other monks. Like before, the friars appeared stressed and worried. James had a comforting hand on one of his comrades, who clearly was grieving.
Each of us will pray for him at every opportunity. I promise.
He suddenly noticed Aaron and quickly excused himself from the group to join him.
Friend Aaron, where do you wish to go?
I must reunite with my companion.
Most assuredly in time indeed. But are you certain that is now? I mean, it was only earlier today that you first rose and walked.
And I am much stronger and capable now, thanks to your tending.
Please, I am in no need of your praises. I am simply doing what the Lord calls of me.
James could see Aaron's uneasiness as he looked across the grounds for his departure.
I don't know what your prior experience was with our church, but clearly it was not very good.
Aaron slowly looked into his eyes, somewhat surprised at his perceptiveness.
We are not a perfect institution. Man is flawed, and those imperfections follow us wherever we go, even when we endeavor to represent He who is beyond us in these hallowed dormitories.
His words helped ease some of the fear echoing through Aaron's nerves. James put a hand on his shoulder and walked with him.
If you wish to leave, I cannot stop you. But I do wonder of your timing and would hope you to be better.
They stopped as Aaron paused to consider his advice. He took note of the sorrow still lasting on the other friar's face who James had been talking with some distance away. With a push of his consciousness, he could sense the other man's grief. It was heavy, dark.
Your brother over there, he is in incredible anguish. Even here, such pain finds you.
We are only human, to the point that one of our brothers took his own life. So you see, even we are not without sin.
Would it not be more unlikely for one of your order to do such a thing than it would be for someone living commonly in the world?
The devil does whatever he can to upset God's plan.
Aaron paused, then squinted slightly, feeling a throbbing at the back of his head.
At least consume a meal before you go. You might also still see some value in another night's rest. Earlier you said you were trying to protect souls, but didn't necessarily agree with my understanding of your caring. I would love to hear more about that.
I care as any man for others. Are we not all brothers and sisters?
Ah, yes. As our Lord stated in Matthew, whatever you did for one of the least of these brothers and sisters of mine, you did for me.
Matthew. Yes.
James returned him to the infirmary's dining hall, where a large fire was warming 4 other patients sitting at a small banquet table, 3 monks and a villager. James offered Aaron to sit while a pair of friars brought in a platter of food.
Welcome here. Brother Martin, feeling much better, are we? I have prayed many times for you the last 2 days.
Hardly. Satan's horns gored our brother. Was responsible for the death of our holy Papa Urban too, no doubt.
No doubt taking up residence in Avignon, that serpent. Dark times indeed.
Aaron kept a curious eye on the conversation as he ate, knowing that it somehow connected to what he saw with the friar outside moments ago. He could also sense the tales having been layered with time, suggesting an ongoing crisis.
To dwell on such things will only slow your recovery. Please, lift your thoughts to Christ, so that His Spirit may heal yours and all of those who may be confronting darkness in Avignon. Let His light shine in.
The monks at the table turned tight-lipped, willing to remain quiet, but still riled up within.
Enjoy your meal and take respite. Pray in our chapel.
With that, James patted Aaron's shoulder and left.
If I may, what makes you think the serpent has taken up residence in Avignon?
The monks remained silent. 4th patient, a middle-aged peasant from the village, saddled up closer to the table.
They won't tell you, but I will. I have a cousin who works there. Word travels fast that young monks are being possessed. They change from being pious into raving beasts.
Shut up.
They scream, weep uncontrollably, say things no one can make any sense of. A sickness of raging madness.
I said shut up.
Then they commit the most mortal of sins.
Friar Martin leapt to his feet, slamming his food tray.
They were good boys. Good boys.
James and a companion raced back in. They swiftly tended to the disconsolate friend.
Come. Let us get you to your bed.
More rest will do you good.
They escorted the elder back into the compartments, leaving Aaron to wonder about the story.
No one can get any real answers out of them. The ones who turn mad.
4 that we know of.
6.
Aaron pondered the story. He knew there was no such thing as coincidence. Somebody was targeting the young acolytes. But why? How did the attacker twist their minds to convince them to take their own lives? The full moon offered just the right amount of luminance for Aaron to enjoy a brief refreshment in the adjoining herb garden. At first, he was delighted to gaze up at the glowing orb, but the sudden twinge at the back of his head forced him to gaze back down at the ground.
Oh.
He placed a gentle hand on the sore and closed his eyes to focus healing energy to the location. The owl's song captured him, a pleasant and welcoming call. Meanwhile, Friar James arrived back inside the infirmary, having just come from evening mass. He checked in with an attendant who informed him that Aaron had stepped out.
Did he say he had gone for his companion?
The monk shook his head and pointed to the garden. As he neared, he spied Aaron through the open door lifting his arm, and the owl landing on it. James stopped, wide-eyed. Aaron failed to notice him. The owl returned to the wind. James paused, arrested, then stepped out.
You have decided to stay.
For one night.
Good.
James led him back inside, all the while trying to hide his discomfort at what he had just witnessed. Though darkness had fallen and left the Muein grounds in total blackness, Wimarc still sat in meditation. He had moved into one of the larger caves, the typical spot Samantha would enter after spending time outside the compound. He lit a few torches, more for light than for heat, and kept his consciousness as calm and ready as he could, stepping outside the bounds of time in order to surpass the hours. Thea flew in. Wimarc opened his eyes to see Samantha standing in the cave entryway, dressed in winter furs.
Father!
Blessed be that you're safe.
I'm sorry about Rachel, Father. I'm so...
It's not your fault.
And I had to leave Aaron.
I know.
Wimarc took her wet cheeks into his hands, looking deeply at her.
They've taken the master texts from the library.
The dreaded importance of this nearly drowned Samantha's spirit.
The others? Mother!
She's all right. Their spirits are all right.
Where have they taken the library?
I don't know. It felt like they had originally sent them north. But now...
They can't be seen?
Whoever they are, whoever has done this, they shrouded all in darkness.
Samantha stepped up into the main courtyard from the subterranean passage of the personal apartments. The light of the torch dimmed as snowflakes fell. Even so, she could make out the desolation of the grounds as the burning of the mass funeral pyre glowed across the courtyards and surrounding temples. Her gaze fell upon the lunar platform, recalling the last moments of delight there with Aaron, now forever gone. Her soul sank with the sense of death. Wimarc emerged from the stairs behind her, securing his own furs. He put a hand on her shoulder, then escorted her across the courtyard to another passage. They stopped outside a heavily locked door. Samantha handed Wimarc the torch while she worked at the locks.
Doesn't look like they made it down here.
How much time do you think we have?
If they have already opened the books, not much. They will come looking for survivors, anyone who can decipher the letterings.
Good.
Samantha stole the torch from him and stepped into the chamber. She lit torches throughout the room, revealing the walls full of weapons, swords, bows, Knives, arrows. It was an armory.
Then we won't have to go looking for them ourselves.
As dawn drove away the darkness and the flames of the burning dead sizzled into oblivion, Samantha and Wimarc perched themselves onto parapet walkways on either side of the main courtyard. Seated in meditation behind the overpass railings, they let the snow pile onto them, practically burying them. Normal people would have frozen to death, but their ability to regulate their minds and bodies kept them safe, warm, and energies pooled for action. As the sun rose higher, its brilliance broke through the infirmary's windows and passed over Aaron, as he sat sitting up in the usual sleeping meditation position practiced by the Muein devotees. When his eyes slowly opened, he was surprised to see Friar James sitting in a chair beside him, the Bible open upon his lap.
Friar?
Good morning, Aaron.
Aaron hesitated, worried that James was about to bemoan him and perhaps condemn him for some unknown reason.
I was wondering if you would allow me to read you a passage from a part of God's Word. It is from Corinthians, chapter 12.
Aaron paused, concerned, wondering what it might accuse him of. Cautiously, he nodded anyway.
It concerns spiritual gifts as given by God. Paul says there are different kinds of gifts, but the same Spirit distributes them. There are different kinds of service, but the same Lord. There are different kinds of working, but in all of them and in everyone, it is the same God at work. To one, there is given through the Spirit a message of wisdom, to another, a message of knowledge by means of the same Spirit, to another, faith by the same Spirit, to another, gifts of healing by that one Spirit, to another, miraculous powers, to another, prophecy, to another, distinguishing between spirits, to another, speaking in different kinds of tongues, and to still another, the interpretation of tongues. All of these are the work of one and the same Spirit, and He distributes them to each one, just as He determines.
He closed the book, yet continued to keep his eyes from meeting Aaron's.
I must admit, when I saw you with the owl last night, and then the strange language of the parchment and your survival from such a horrible accident, you and your companion have had a bit of the peculiar about you. But then I remembered this chapter.
He finally looked at Aaron.
Some people might fear the workings of witchcraft with you, but I think it not. However, I do have concern for your soul.
I only wish to be the brightest light that can be, as a flower wishes to glorify the nature of its creation in the blooming of its petals.
Friar James listened intently to Aaron's message, a sparkle of appreciation in his eyes.
And to protect that light from those who would wish to bury it in cold darkness.
Meanwhile, the Muein courtyard laid in stark silence, thanks to the dampening effect of the snow. All that could be heard was the passing breeze. Samantha and Wimarc were still in their seated positions upon the ramparts, their hair and eyebrows white from frost.
I know where you both are.
Why then, you must know you will have to come out into the open to meet us.
And that we will cut you down until only one remains.
I thought killing for revenge wasn't your way.
Who said anything about killing? Your men only need not get back up.
Challenge accepted.
Next time.
You're going to tell me where the library has been taken.
I will pray for you, my friend. The hawk concerns you?
My companion and I were brought in. Did we not have horses?
Aaron!
You must not come with me.
I meant what I said when I said I was fearful for your soul.
It is not safe for you to continue with me.
The sanctuary is closed for tonight.
I have fought the devil's demons. I have burned his witches.
A clan of knights paid visit last night. Said they were hunting a pair of witches who escaped them from the west.
You think I am one of them?
Your people have hidden things away that were never yours to conceal. You will read each and every line to me. You will not rest until you do.
Please, threaten to cut my tongue out. Then you hear nothing.
Only for the moment may that be true.